This is the Badass Dad Pod on June 2nd, 2021. Mrs. Bad Pod and I mark our 20th wedding anniversary. How and why have we made it this far? I'm going to share our one big key for relationship success in this episode of the Badass Dad Pod, your podcast for leveling up relationally, physically, and financially, no matter what age you are. My name is Ryan Dunn. I'm the money miser of Old Hickory, quester of the mighty dunk, slayer of relationship complacency. I'm a level 8 gym warrior, a level 6 relationship ranger, level 5 debt mage, and your lawful good podmaster. 20 years of marriage, man. I get a little glassy-eyed thinking about the obstacles we've navigated to reach this point. There's been depression, infertility, career changes, miscarriage, several moves to multiple states, job loss, addiction, just stuff. Along the way, there have been reasons for either of us to bail. Neither one of us believe we're still married to the same person that we married 20 years ago, but we're still in it. What's the reason? Well, we got asked that by an acquaintance about a couple years ago. We were in a bar. We were sharing after-work appetizers. Again, we don't really do alcohol. That's the whole addiction thing. Well, we noted at that point that it was going to be our 17th wedding anniversary. And after noting that we looked way too young to have been married that long, and I can't say I disagreed, right? The acquaintance asked, how do you make it work? Now, Mrs. Bad Pod and I never had a conversation about things like marriage philosophy or what makes our relationship work. At least, we've not consciously held such a conversation. So we both shrugged and thought for a moment, and then Gina, Mrs. Bad Pod, offered this. We just decided to. That was her response. And she was and is totally right. I hope she hears that. At that moment in the bar, I was searching for ways we keep our love alive, mentally attempting to build a list of the methods we use to stay in love. Platitudes like, we never go to bed angry, which is not true. We still act like we're dating, also not true. Or, I always admit when she's right. That is not true either. But the real foundation for our love is that we have made a soulful decision to be in love. And sometimes that comes in spite of what we feel for each other. Honestly, who can say that they are the same person they were 20 years ago? Most people have gone through many serious changes over the course of that much time. And likely what that means is our relationships go through changes and feelings as well. So there have been points in our 20 years of marriage where we haven't felt totally in love, but we still were committed to love each other. I mean, I can be super withdrawn and unexpectedly sullen, and I do not share thoughts freely despite being a podcaster. And she's gone through addiction and mental illness diagnoses in our 20 years. We both became parents, which definitely changes people. I was a radio producer when we got married. Later, I went on to be a youth pastor. Now I'm a digital content creator. She was a professional dancer who became a preschool teacher who became a vet tech. We're different now than we were then. But we made decisions to love each other. We made vows to love each other. And we're doing our best to build each other up in love. Now, it's not always a pretty picture, but it's an honest attempt. It's a shared decision. What's made it stick is that we both decided independently. There's no coercion here. And likely if one of us decided that he or she was not going to love the other anymore, then our system would break down. The decisions we've made to love one another reflect a commitment to keep working on our relationship, marriage, and family. Now, culture at large tends to paint a picture that there are points at which you can have a perfect marriage. It has become an expectation, right? And when we fail to meet that expectation, we wonder if we should give up. Perhaps what Gina and I have discovered through our shared journey is that we have never reached the point of marital perfection, and we likely never will. But we'll keep trying to get a little bit closer. I wish I could offer a dope listicle of like 5 ways to keep your marriage in tip-top shape. Maybe at some point I'll be able to offer 5 ways to remind yourself of your love or something. Right now, all I can offer is some encouragement to decide. Decide if you're willing to love and if your partner is willing to love in return. You won't always feel it, but you can always decide it. That's all I got for you in this episode of the Badass Dad Pod. I remain your humble podcaster, Ryan Dunn. We're celebrating our relationships over on Facebook through the Badass Dad Squad. Jump into the group, will ya? And will you hit subscribe and leave a helpful review for this podcast? That would make me fall in love with you all over again. Just kidding. I love you anyway, buddy. Music is by I.O. Ellen. I'll be back with more truth for badassery next week. Okay, bye.